And YouTube, what is up? We're back with another video. In today's video, we are gonna be doing something very odd, and it's gonna be more or less of a, not a challenge, but can you, okay? How much polar power can you get? Or not how much polar power, how easy is it to get 100 polar power, okay? Now, I don't really macro quest, and you can macro quest for about 50 to 60 a night. I do know that, in which you can get a lot of polar power from that. And so, obviously, polar power is very helpful because it helps with your B energy. Right now, I have around 62, which is 4.1 B energy, in which 4.1 B energy means all my bees have around 800 energy, which means they can last in the field to like an hour. So basically, I have infinite capacity as long as I'm not doing like Cocoa Crab or stuff like that, where I'm doing a lot of stuff. But that also helps with like a lot of like bug runs in Cocoa Crab and killing your crab. You have to get these coconuts. And so there's a lot, I guess. Now polar power, it determines on what quest you get, really, of how much you actually can get in an hour. Which we're not gonna probably be recording for an hour. Obviously, it's probably gonna be like 15 minutes, 20 minutes recording. But it determines on what quest you more or less of get. As in the sense of most of these are like kill rhino beetles or stuff like that. And which if it's just a collect from field, as long as you have like petal wand or even porcelain dipper, it takes around like a minute to do those. And so those are gonna be the easy quest. And while we're not doing polar power, we're gonna do some Bucko Bee quests just because I'm trying to get some more of those. And so it's just always good to keep in mind your Bucko Bee quests are always good to do, and your polar power quests are always amazing to do too. And so that's always really good. That's always really good to do. And so it's always kind of amazing to have that extra polar power or your Bucko Bee quest. So when you do get enough for Tide Popper, if you don't already have it, you can kind of just buy Tide Popper and even the other things in there. So so we just completed our Bucko Bee quest, which is Bucko Bombarded, which I've had this quest around 13 times, 14 times, 15 times. Bucko Bee's quests repeat no matter what, and so like you can get the same quest up to like 27 times. Like I think it's like up to like 50 times you can get the same quest. And so normally he'll give you just a blue extract and some honey, depending on that. And then so currently Blue Flower Field, which is right outside actually this field. You can get this, and Blue Flower boost ×3, so that's amazing. So we can just go over here and get some pollen from Blue Flower. And so let's go right here. So now the one thing is that Bucko Bee quests are really they're not time consuming. Some of them can be just because the rhino beetles and that stuff of that you need you have to wait a little while and stuff like that. And like as in the sense of I'm gonna probably say as in the sense of a lot. I don't know, I say that a lot. As in like they can just be time consuming because of the bugs you have to kill, or sometimes he'll give you stuff like that. As long as you're a blue hive, or even if like you're a mixed hive, it's kind of easy to do. It takes just like 10 minutes maybe at max, and so like they're always good to do. Now the items he gives though are really good, because at your 50th quest you get around I think 30-40 sprouts, and as long as you keep going to this quest you just get more sprouts and more blue extracts. And so it's an easy way to grind blue extracts without having to grind them, in which he actually, not surprisingly enough, he gives you enough to add blue extracts to be able to get diamond mask and stuff. And so he gives you some of the resources for Tide Popper and the other things as you go on with his quest. And basically you can just AFK items while doing these, and I think in Natro Macro you can actually turn on his quest, but I don't have them on, so but they only take a few minutes anyway. Some of those quests are like Ant Challenge, that's what you just had to see me do a minute ago, and all that. And so, like, I don't know, that is really good, and you know, just complete your quest is really my biggest tip to you, no matter what. But yep, Bucko Bee is definitely one of the yeah, I think we're on his 45th quest now. Yeah. So you can kind of just AFK his quest, I guess, and do stuff like that, which he helps a lot as you go on with stuff, and like giving you more stuff, I guess, and you can just get free stuff from him, and that's probably the best thing. Surgery 5, corrupting the glitch. Okay, so also another thing, complete your Robo-Bear quest, which they aren't hard at all, really. Actually, I think the easiest quest in the game other than you have to buy Spark Staff for the Glitch Drive quest, but it doesn't really matter because Glitch Drive is very cheap to me. But some of you more earlier game players that might only have Porcelain Debris, or you know, you might only have Petal Wand and like Hive Bag still. Yeah, if you have the Glitch Drive quest, it might be a little hard. But most of the time, you know, just do your Robo-Bear quest too. And Robo-Bear, and you know, another thing I found out, and some of you guys that are struggling with like soft waxes, hard waxes, waxes in general, resources are pretty easy to get, but you don't really want to craft them. You know, you're crafting something. End game, this can be helpful too, but mostly just early game when you really have nothing better to do. It only takes like 30 minutes, really. You can do the classic challenge, which, I mean, I've done it before, and it's actually kind of good without just Beesmas quests, because you can get a lot of resources from it pretty easily, and not quickly, but quickly enough, you know, to where it takes a little less time than normal. So yeah, you can do, like, you can get waxes from it, and you can get honeysuckles and all that. And so those are really good, and you can get some other, like, purple potions and super smoothies sometimes, and there's a lot of things you can get from it. You can get swirled wax and all of that. So it's definitely worth doing those, just for if you don't have anything better to do, because normally early game, or you know, sometimes even late game, you don't always just want to be grinding honey. You want to be grinding like stuff like that at quest, and which most quests you don't even have. So you kind of are just doing repeating quests, and which gives you something to do during your free time when you're not doing that. So I would definitely recommend trying them at least. I'm not saying you have to do them all the time, but they're definitely a good once in a blue moon, you know, method of making some, not honey, but you know, easy resources. And you know, I have to recommend, because I'm gonna say this, Petal Belt is better than Petal Wand, and you should, I mean, I'm not gonna say you always have to get it first. I mean, it's definitely worth getting it first, but at the same time, it's whatever you really preference. Like, if you want a new wand or a new tool, and you're not going blue hive where you're going to be macroing a lot, and you actually play the game, like, you know, stuff like that, yeah, Petal Wand might always be the biggest decision. But if you're macroing a lot, and that, it doesn't really matter what you get, because you know, you can kind of just, it doesn't hurt you at all to just get Petal Wand first sometimes, and you know, take that little buy at the start. But it's definitely something that will maybe help you progress a little faster, because you're not wasting as much resources when you could also use those resources on Bubble Wand or not Bubble Wand, Bubble Mask if you don't have it, and sometimes Diamond Mask if you don't have it, and Cocoa Bag and all of that, because I know those resources for all of those items are kind of hard to get early game. But you know, stuff like that. And so there's definitely other better things you could spend your resources on the Petal Belt to start a game. But definitely I would recommend getting it first, but it's based on preference. I'm not going to tell you have to, or you're going to not ever progress fast. Progression is based on how much you're actually playing the game, in my opinion, because people always talk about this will help you progress faster. Yeah, it'll help you progress easier, not faster, because nothing's going to help you really progress faster, because some things you're just going to have to take that time to do. Like Spirit Bear Quest are just some of those times, you know, it takes a full day to do one of them. and which you can like speed them up in that, and you know, all of that, and you can always get that. Definitely, you can always do something to help it, but there's sometimes just you have to take that, you know, L sometimes on your time management there, and you sometimes have to take a little while on it. But early game, it is definitely harder to do Spirit Bear quest, and one thing I would recommend in this, and I know that we're just, you know, grinding out polar power in that right now, is that do your polar power too, and your science bear. Science bear helps with convert if you didn't know that, and polar power obviously just gives you B energy. I'll say that a lot, but it's definitely the most important to grind out your polar power. Not always early game, but you know, you don't want to be stuck in late game with bees that are being tired all the time, and you're level 16 and they fall asleep before the level 13 hive, you know. And so you always want to be doing your quest no matter what. Now I would also recommend quest wise, you don't always tire yourself out with some of them, I guess, or sometimes you just have to, you know, spread out your quests, or not spread out your quests, but like spread out what quests you're gonna do first. Or I'll give you the priority quests. You should early game and like pretty much only up to mid game prioritize your black bear quest, and then when you get Spirit Bear, obviously prioritize her quest the most, obviously, because she is the most important bear and she helps you progress the fastest, or the easiest, because you can't really do without spirit pet, or like your spirit petals and all of that, and you literally need petal wand at some point, and you need petal belt at some point at least. Like most people can just skip petal wand and go straight to tide popper sometimes, but I would definitely recommend petal wand because it's obviously a lot better, and I mean it's definitely more worth than just trying to get Windy Bee after your petal belt. So you have to do her quest, and so sometimes just doing them quicker and easier is the way to go. And so sometimes all you got to do is just take the pain route and do a few of those. Now they don't really get hard until like the 18th maybe, you know, quest, and that they don't really get that hard at all. They're just time taking unless you go to like an early blue hive like I did. The red fields are very hard to do, not because you don't make a lot of pollen, it's because they're in such big quantities of amounts of pollen, like, you know, and stuff like that, like 300 million red pollen, and like I think my last quest or something, or one of the quests had like, oh no, it's Star Journey, but it had like 1 billion red pollen on it. That's just like insane to get normally without like, you know, max blue, because max blue you can still make like a little more blue pollen because you have better gear in that, and your bees still like get some. I mean, right now for me, early blue hive, it's kind of hard, but it's definitely worth grinding your quest out for Spirit Bear and stuff like that. And I'm gonna say that a lot in what quest you should prioritize. And then after Spirit Bear and Black Bear, you should just do your hourly Brown Bear quest. It's always good. It's always easy. You can get diamond eggs. You can get a mythic egg. You can get star eggs. You can get star treat. You can get a lot of stuff. And his quests are really easy. He doesn't always give you the best resources normally, early quest, but late quest, they're definitely worth it too. And so just, I mean, I don't know, build up your quest, obviously. Polar Power is definitely your first quest you should really grind, other than Spirit Bear. And then stuff like that is always really helpful. And so yeah, I missed 3 precise marks. What's it called? And then Panda Bear is one of those quests you don't have to prioritize, but you should always do them, because Ant Annihilation 6, I think, gives you Star Treat, and so it's always worth. And he gives you a Star Egg, he gives you Diamond Egg, he gives you normal resources, he gives you a Gold Egg, he gives you all that, and which I know some of you guys need your Gold Eggs for your Honey Mask, which is definitely the worst mask, or the worst mask other than Bubble Mask, unless you're actually like a mobile player, you're just always grinding the game, and you don't really macro. But Bubble Mask is definitely better for macro in general. normally, because like even as a red hive, bubbles can be really good, because red hives also get ×3 bubbles from their mass, just like blue hives do, obviously, or 1.5 bubble pollen or whatever it gives. I don't remember. And so you can always get a lot from bubbles, and like as you guys see, my tadpole just gave me like 13 mil off bubbles just there, and so it's always definitely worth doing those, and you know, getting bubble mass is definitely worth the little grind at the start, because it is definitely a little hard to get. I will say that it was very hard, not for the pollen and that and the stuff. It was very hard to get the resources for that early game. I can't lie, it was definitely weird and hard to get the extracts and all of that, and all the royal jellies you need to craft. And so yeah, crafting now is kind of easy, and it's just more and less of how many tickets am I wasting on. And so yeah, we haven't done that much polar power, as you guys have told. We've literally only got like 3 or 2, and so that's not great, and I have to go in 20 minutes to go somewhere, and so that's even more amazing. So I didn't know my YouTube video would be ruined, and the editing on this is going to take not that long, because I don't edit too much in it. I'm just going to add a sound over it so you guys don't hear the other noises in the back and all of that. And I might voice over this so you don't hear all the extra talking, but obviously if this is left in, you hear this is probably the unedited voice version. And so yeah, I want you guys to give me a little bit of feedback, almost, as in my last video. I added a sound over it. I don't know if you guys want that one. It's like the hip hop sound. I've seen it in a lot of other YouTube videos, and so I was like, oh, maybe I can just add this from CapCut. You know, it doesn't take that long. It takes 2 minutes. Oh, why am I going to polar power? Or do given polar power? And so, yeah. I just want a little feedback there, if that doesn't matter to you guys. Because it always takes, it doesn't take a while actually, it takes like 2 minutes to actually edit a video when I'm not doing that much to it anyway. But I think a lot of things actually. There's definitely different quests you should grind first. And like, yeah, so, ooh, 17 minutes. Okay, just checking that. So I think this is where the video is gonna end. We got, I think, 2 polar power. We might only got 1, I don't remember. But it's definitely possible, and you should always grind your polar power. And yeah, this is worth it.